Hi, this is Farah from Attuned. Today, I will talk about ways intrinsic motivation and extrinsic incentives affect workplace performance. So, how does intrinsic and extrinsic motivation interact with each other? As much as you would like a simplified approach or an easy theory that explains motivation, in reality, it gets a bit more complicated. Where the research stands today is that intrinsic motivation and extrinsic motivation interact with one another. Both matter. Each can influence the other, both influence performance and feeling. On top of this, there are further layers of complexity, such as how personality interacts with motivation styles. There is still much more research to be done on the links between the two types of motivation to reach a better understanding. The two core findings on research of motivations are this. Number one, intrinsic motivations remains a moderate to strong predictor of performance, regardless of whether incentives are present. Number two, clear extrinsic motivations disincentivize teamwork and creativity. How to apply the findings from this comprehensive study is, of course, what interests us in business. After all, Attuned was created to give managers tips and insights to further the goal of meaningful work. Analysis is great, but what you do with it is what matters. In analyzing the study, we pulled a few quotes that provide the basis for practical applications to help managers. Number one, extrinsic motivation, meaning the use of very clear incentives, narrows cognitive focus, strongly encourages existing behaviors, and intensifies behavioral towards a goal. Number two, as incentives become larger, teamwork and creativity will be disincentivized. Intrinsic motivation and its importance to performance will be crowded out, and unethical or counterproductive behaviors may become more likely. Number three, tasks that are straightforward, highly repetitive, and perhaps even less inherently enjoyable should be more closely linked to extrinsic incentives. For example, linking pay to performance has been found to improve productivity on relatively straightforward tasks, such as tree planting. These pieces of info are great, but there are also other, more nuanced findings to consider. Basing an entire salary on attaining objectives can lead to lower well-being and counterproductive behaviors. What was really interesting from the study is rather than finding that incentives are not effective, it was actually the opposite. Incentives are too effective. Intrinsic motivation is gender neutral. The benefits intrinsic motivation brings to individuals and teams are the same for women and men. Older respondents average not only higher levels of intrinsic motivation, but also somewhat higher levels of performance compared to younger workers. This bodes well for aging populations in developed countries. Is it as we age, we grow to understand ourselves better, follow our own motivations more closely, leading to better output? In conclusion, the takeaway is that for complex jobs that require judgment and intense personal investment, intrinsic motivation is best. Whether it be an individual academic study or meta-analysis of hundreds of studies, the importance of intrinsic motivation to create meaningful work is clear. Through intrinsic motivation, we want to help managers predict what types of outcomes their system will create for their teams. To solve the age-old organizational problem of how to increase productivity and how to boost morale, think about motivation intrinsically. This is Farah again from Attuned, and thank you for watching the video.